Amazon. I mean, it's way more than just a website at this point, right? It's a global force. So how did it get so massive? Well, today we're going to deconstruct that machine piece by piece to really get a look at the engine that's driving its insane $1.6 trillion valuation. And believe it or not, it all comes back to this one really simple idea from Jeff Bezos himself. It wasn't about profit. It wasn't even about the tech. It was a relentless, almost fanatical obsession with the customer. That's it, that one single principle. It's the key that unlocks everything else we're about to talk about. So from that one simple idea grew this. Yeah, just look at that number. It's so big, it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around it. $1.6 trillion. That is the value of the empire that was built, essentially, on making customers happy. Which, brings us to the big question here. The whole reason we're doing this explainer. How does that even happen? How do you go from a simple online bookstore selling paperbacks to a global behemoth that's woven into almost every single part of our lives? Well, let's dig in and find out. Okay, so to really get how massive Amazon is today, we've got to go back, way back, to its pretty humble beginnings. We're rewinding the clock to the mid-90s, when the internet was just starting to become, a thing. So it's 1994, and Jeff Bezos decides to leave his comfy finance job for this, pretty wild idea. He wanted to sell books online. The goal was huge from day one, build the world's largest bookstore. And his first name idea? Cadabra. Like abracadabra. Kind of cheesy, right? Well, good thing he changed it because his lawyer apparently misheard it as cadaver. Yikes. So he landed on Amazon instead, a name that really matched his massive ambitions. And the thing is, the growth was just immediate and explosive. The site launches in 95. By the very next year, they've got 180,000 customers. They go public in 97, and by 98, just a few years in, they're already pulling in over $500 million in revenue. So clearly the core idea worked, no doubt about it. But the real question is, what made it unstoppable? And that brings us to what is probably the single most important concept in the entire Amazon playbook. Seriously, it's not a piece of tech, it's not a single product, it's a business philosophy, a whole way of thinking called the flywheel. So what on earth is a flywheel? Well, to put it simply, it's a virtuous cycle. Think of it like a heavy wheel that's hard to get moving at first, but once you do, every single push you give it makes the next push easier. It's a system where every part of the business reinforces all the other parts, creating this self-sustaining momentum that just gets stronger and faster all on its own. Okay, so here's exactly how it works for Amazon. It all starts with lower prices, right? That attracts more customers. That massive base of customers then attracts tons of third-party sellers who all want to sell to them. More sellers means a much bigger selection and more convenience, which, guess what? Improves the customer experience. A great experience brings back even more customers, and the wheel just spins faster and faster and faster. It literally funds itself. This is the engine that drives the entire company. But an engine like that needs fuel. And over the years, Amazon came up with some absolutely brilliant innovations. I mean, you can think of them as secret weapons that added a ton of power and speed to that flywheel. Let's start with the one-click button, which they patented way back in 1999. Now, it seems so simple today, but its genius was twofold. First, it made buying ridiculously easy, which totally supercharged impulse buys. But second, and this is the really crucial part, it got you to save all your info. That let Amazon track everything you bought and then serve you these hyper-targeted ads, which of course fueled even more sales. See how it works? Okay, another huge game changer was when they fully embraced the third-party marketplace. So think about it. With their first-party or 1P model, Amazon has to buy, store, and manage all the inventory themselves. That is super expensive. But with the third-party or 3P model, other sellers do all that work. Amazon just provides the website, the platform, and takes a cut. This let them offer a nearly infinite selection of stuff without having to bear all the cost. And this chart just shows you how massive that shift was. By 2018, that more scalable, more profitable 3P model had completely overtaken their own direct sales. We're talking nearly 60% of all the physical stuff sold on the site came from third-party sellers. It was an absolutely massive strategic pivot for the company. And then there's the biggest secret weapon of them all, AWS, Amazon Web Services. The story here is pretty amazing. As Amazon got bigger and bigger, it needed a ton of data storage. So they just built their own. But then they had this aha moment. Hey, we could rent out all this extra server space. So this internal solution accidentally created a whole new business. And that business now powers huge chunks of the internet. We're talking Netflix, Facebook, you name it. It became their most profitable venture by a long shot. Why? Because once you've built that massive digital infrastructure, selling a little slice of it to another customer costs you almost nothing. It is the ultimate high-margin product. So with all this, Amazon seems pretty much invincible, right? Well, not exactly. See, there's a really clear pattern when you look at their biggest wins and their biggest failures, and it all boils down to one simple rule. And that rule is called the first mover advantage. The idea is actually super simple. If you're the first company to really enter and capture a new market, you get a huge and often permanent competitive edge. Just look at the Kindle versus the Fire Phone. The Kindle, launched back in 2007, is a perfect example of being a first mover. Amazon literally sold the device at zero profit because they just wanted to own the ebook market. And you know what? It worked. They became number one. But then you have the Fire Phone. It launched in 2014, years late to the party. The smartphone market was already completely dominated by Apple and Android. It was a spectacular failure. And you see this play out all over the world, too. Take India, for example. A local company called Flipkart launched there in 2007. Amazon didn't even show up until 2013, a full 6 years later. And because Flipkart had that first mover advantage, Amazon has never, ever been able to truly dominate that market. To this day, the two of them are locked in this fierce battle for the top spot. All right, so how does this all add up to the Amazon we know today? To really understand it, we have to follow the money. And I gotta tell you, what we're about to see might actually surprise you. This is the true anatomy of this tech giant. Okay, so if you just look at revenue, the total amount of cash coming in the door, the story seems pretty simple. The online stores are the undisputed king, bringing in something like $200 billion in 2020. And yeah, this is what pretty much everyone thinks of when they think Amazon. But this is only half the story. Not even. Because when we look at actual profit, the whole picture just flips on its head. That much smaller AWS revenue bar, it's responsible for almost 60% of the company's entire operating profit. That massive retail business we all know, it's actually a pretty low-margin operation. AWS, that is the real cash machine. So here's the big takeaway, the most crucial point of all this. Amazon isn't really one company. You have to think of it as a dual-engine machine. You've got the giant retail business that acts as the flywheel, right? It generates massive cash flow and keeps customers coming back. And then you have the incredibly profitable cloud business, AWS, that provides the high-margin fuel to fund literally everything else. New devices, global expansion, you name it. And that really brings us to our final thought. So when you have a machine like this, a self-sustaining flywheel that just keeps pulling in customers, and then a completely separate, super profitable engine that can fund any new venture you can possibly dream up, well, the question isn't if Amazon will try to disrupt a new market. The question is, which one is next? And maybe more importantly, who, if anyone, is going to be able to stop them?